report back after our meeting from Wednesday some thoughts about how we could possibly go about these Elevate cluster experiences. I've run this by Steve Stoppe and asked his reflections of it, and we have decided that we'd like to pass this on to you and ask you to pray and think about this of a form and how it can be perfected to allow us to gain what we want to get out of this whole effort of the Elevate clusters. Again, the state convention comes in February 20th on that one day and gives us the conference they present. The clusters are our work. The state convention gives us $10,000 to use any way we want to help our pastors and our churches. And they want 3 measurements: baptisms, budget, and worship attendance, which is what we all want. But as we said Wednesday, we also want to be measuring small group changes, increases, more groups, more participation in the small groups of our churches, whatever fashion and form that takes, whether it's in home meetings, Sunday school, at the church building, in the educational rooms, however you do your small groups in your church's strategy. Well, as far as the meetings themselves, the Elevate Cluster meetings, as I was reflecting and praying and thinking about what was said, I thought perhaps for the sake of having a structure and a pattern that we could follow, an order that would allow us to learn from one another, get to know one another, but indeed grow personally, I thought perhaps something alike or akin to what the PhD seminars were practiced at Southwestern when I was there in the 1980s. The teacher was simply a facilitator who established topics and gave some parameters of basic research and expectations in the presentations. And then the guys, we each one took our topics and made our presentations. The others listened, assessed, evaluated, and gave feedback. And that's where the brutal honesty came in. They worked, to verify our research, but also the credibility of the thinking and reflection and the applications that were drawn as to whatever the subject matter. One of mine was on the discipleship evangelism strategy of Jesus, and as I worked through that, it was personally challenging, realizing that discipleship and evangelism are inseparable. It's like faith and works in James 2. But that helped me as far as the guys responding back and my clarifying my thinking better and its application then in ministry. Well, each of our pastors then in our clusters, we could ask for each man to present 15 to 20 minutes his studied research and the plan he has derived for his church and his leadership per that topic's matter. And then there could be 15, 20, 30 minutes response by all the others, giving again making assessment, evaluation, and feedback. Now definitely the listening allows everyone to gain from the presenter's interpretation and application of the topic and the wisdom they have gleaned from their study of the Word of God and the resources that will be referenced to put together the particular plan addressing that topic they will implement in their church and how it will affect their leadership in their church. But also they'll give all these other hearts and heads looking at this and the presentation made and helping the presenter be more completed in his plan that he has felt led to and desiring to implement. And if it's just presenting a plan that's already being practiced in your church still by that respective presenter, it allows the others, pastors listening, to make their assessment evaluation and maybe to bring forth more clarity Is this still working? Can it be adjusted for greater impact on the church and the harvest field? That benefit can also come even at the point of presenting something that you feel led to keep on doing that you're already doing, that topic is again asking for that work to be presented on. Well, our time then, if we were to have 8 to 12 pastors in a cluster, and we wouldn't want to go past 12 again because of the dynamics and the principles of small group experiences, and again Jesus practiced 12 for a lot of reasons that's been documented by sociological research and otherwise, the benefit of what happens in 12 or less participating in a group experience. But we could take each of the 6 topics, give 2 sessions per topic. That could give us an opportunity in about 3.5 hours time roughly to hear from half the guys in one cluster time and then the other half in the next. We'd probably pick on our older guys to go first, and we'd all hopefully be getting better all along the way as we go through our cluster experiences. But the fact that then we could use the last hour and a half, and we want to set aside time for just to be able to share and talk about as needful issues going on in our lives, and we could do that over lunch and in the last remaining, again, hour and a half or so. That gives an overall framework of 5 hours, perhaps that being maybe a 9 to 2 type schedule being followed. But that's a rough outline, ideal packaging of how we could go about the Elevate experiences. And that gives us the great opportunity to accommodate different learning styles, but we're all there learning from one another. As each one presents during the presentation and the feedback time, then from that you may find real chemistry with a particular brother, and from that you would want to develop further opportunities of discussion and meeting together on that. Our coaching, mentoring could come out of our older guys working with our younger guys. And again, coaching is not fixing or teaching. It's drawing out, like we were saying. It's especially those 3 matters: listening, communicating, I believe in you. Thirdly, helping you find your hedgehog, what you can be the best at, and how you can leverage that for total faithfulness to God in carrying out what God's called us to be and to do as pastors and working with our churches and serving them and leading them. Well, please, if you'll pray over this and consider it and give Steve and me feedback on that, that would be very appreciated. We've got time, but we want to start working on this while the ideals are fresh on all of our hearts and minds from what was discussed Wednesday. But I just wanted to point out, can you imagine the opportunity to just the dynamics around the group, even those that were there Wednesday? I mean, not puffing Gary up, but man, you've got a guy, Gary Martin, 30 years in one church. Can you imagine the wisdom and the encouragement that can be drawn from that? And then the energy that we can get from you younger guys. It's just a great opportunity for us to share together and get to know one another better. And in fact, we have 5 men in our association that have been in their pulpits 30 years or more. Gary Dew, Salida, Michael Wright, Turlock, Steve Donaldson, Denaire, Hans Frey, Lake Don Pedro, Gary Martin, Winton. And then we just have so many gifted men in so many different ways for us to be able to capitalize and draw and fellowship, and iron sharpen iron. It's worth our praying and going after it. So thanks, guys, so much. God bless you. Have a great holiday season, and just be praying God will give us all wisdom how to capitalize for gospel opportunities and disciple-making efforts that can be invested. All right, thanks. Bye.